The following video has been created without the use of AI. Please support your human content creators by liking the video and commenting something down below. Subscribing is optional. Now please, enjoy the show. Neon City, the largest city on Earth. And Neon City was the best way to describe it. The blaring, colorful lights were constant, turning the night to day. The city had been commissioned a couple dozen years ago in a joint venture with FromTech, Neo Robotics, and the American and Japanese government to connect Japan via highway with the continent. The city itself being built on the ocean itself, like a beautiful flower emerging from the waves around the middle point of the massive highway. It's here where you went to uni. The Neon City University was a very prestigious school, taking in any student who could afford their surprisingly low fees, but considering the real barrier of entry, which was the abhorrent prices of living in the Neon City, it kinda balanced itself out. Though, as corporate as Neon City was, the majority of people living in it was not. At least you weren't. You were studying advanced robotics at the university. You were a shy, smart girl, and only since meeting your boyfriend had you slowly been coming out of your shell. You had met him first in a local club. Not really a nightclub in the conventional sense. Your dorm roommates had dragged you out there. It was a relatively pretty place, with beige colors, soft lo-fi music, and a very empty dance floor made out of equally beige wood. In fact, all the people who visited were just sitting on various beanbags, drinking coffee from way too big cups, or alcoholic cocktails that had so little alcohol in them, a high schooler could legally drink them. The air was scented with a mix of lavender and that very specific smell a garden had during the first 10 minutes after being mowed. It was heaven. Your roommates called it an introvert nightclub. And as the other girls went to the bar, you threw yourself on an empty beanbag. Its beans pleasantly sizzling as your weight was spread around them. Inhaling deeply. The sound of music was louder than the few people's conversations. In one of the corners were 3 guys typing away on their laptops, and one of your girls had just come back giving you a not-so-virgin pina colada, as it was called. It was then 4 guys walked in. They all had relatively grim expressions, minus the one in the Hawaiian shirt. Cute Asian dude. They beelined for the bar and began to whisper among each other, while Hawaiian shirt guy loudly and chipper spoke with the barman. Clearly, he was the extrovert of the group. Time passed slowly, and as you sunk deeper into the beanbag and actually managed to get a little tipsy from the drinks, your roommates began to chat up the newcomers. Most because they were the only ones not in a cozy stupor and were approachable enough to talk to. But that's when your lips twitched and you watched them interact, imagining the awkward conversations, at least until the guy in the Hawaiian shirt decided to approach you. He had the dumbest of smiles. Yo! He had his hands in the back pockets of his pants. You looked up from your drink. And you're? He turned to look at the others. So, I'm kind of the 5th wheel right now, and they said that you're their friend. So, do you wanna be my 6th wheel? You raised an eyebrow. Was that a pickup line? Call it a conversation starter. He pulled his hands out of his pockets and made finger guns. You looked at your half-finished drink. I suppose socializing is part of the club experience. Your eyes shifted around the room. The girls were busy. And so you stretched out your leg, using it to pull a free beanbag over. Giddy, Hawaiian shirt guy jumped on it with an excited sigh. The guy was an open book, really, having an anecdote for everything you said, even on your own name alone. Oh, Zara! Zara with a Z! Oh, that's awesome! You know, my mom's best friend has that name too! And then he just unpromptedly started talking about how his mom's friend used to babysit him on the weekends when his parents were out having swinger parties. So, what do you do? And it was in this moment you realized he had just been talking for 20 minutes straight and... excuse me, you interrupted. But I haven't even asked your name yet. He blinked. Once, twice, and then started laughing. It's Daisuke. It's Daisuke. A pleasure! And I'm happy you care to know. Normally I don't even get this far, he said, scratching the back of his head. You don't get this far? Yeah, apparently I talk too much. You suppressed the deadpan and instead forced a smile. Oh, you do? Daisuke bit his lower lip. But I guess that's okay. Oh, thank God. He rubbed his forehead. It's always good to know when you can talk to someone. You don't even want to know how many times I had to be punished for speaking too much. Are there times where you don't? He went into thought. Not for long, though. Grinning, he proudly admitted, well, at the arcade I don't talk too much. He said that so loud another patron who had been napping in his beanbag woke up and looked around confused. As he wasn't sure what exactly woke him up, he just looked furious. And so he quickly threw Daisuke a certain look, which he understood. Oh. Whispering, he huddled over to you. Too loud? Too loud. Okay then. Okay. He began whispering more. So, about the arcade. You know which one I mean? This is Neon City. You replied dryly. Right. The city was drenched in entertainment establishments. Pachinko parlors, arcades, bars, pubs, restaurants, gaming places, multiple VR entertainment venues, and the biggest red light district in the world. That's at least a rumor you heard. Okay, so, there's this small arcade in town where I grew up in, and I swear, to this day, the owner rigged the games, cause like, the only time someone seems to win, like win-win, is when it's a person you wanna knows and or likes, usually both at the same time. I, of course, he proclaimed proudly, happen to not be one of those. So I have to try extra, but I love trying extra. I was just, bad-mouthing his games and called them rigged one too many times. Calling a guy a rigger sounds kinda wrong, if you don't hear it fully. You're a dork, you said flatly, and he blinked, which caused you to smile. But not in a bad way, I suppose. That's when you looked towards your roommates, or at least where they had been last, as they had been gone. They left with Daisuke's friends. He too followed your gaze and gasped. No way! You looked at him. These three never get with any chicks. Your deadpan was followed by him grinning apologetically. I mean women. They aren't ladies, man. They're kind of nerds. I'm glad I got them to go here. That's all, really. And what about you? He asked straight up. What do you mean? Do you get with chicks? You put the last word in air quotes. He blushed hard, and his eyes moved to the side. Well, I'm not a virgin anymore, if that's what you mean, but I just, He looked away. Seems like you had hit a sore spot. To tell you the truth, my relationships, they never last that long. All girls just break up with me. I'm too much, they say. And then I go out drinking the next day and everything is okay. Even though it's not. I party too much, is what I'm saying. I would say you're just a little too honest, really. I can tell you how often I get to hear that from my mom. Actually, funny story. The first time He stopped as you placed a finger on his lips. Look, Daisuke, how about this? You smirked. I'm just tipsy enough to come out of my shell, so you started playing with your hair. How about you invite me to an arcade? And then we see what happens from there? His eyes widened with the excitement of a child about to open their Christmas presents. You removed your finger from his mouth, and after a moment of consideration, he nodded. Deal. Hitting up the arcade scene around Neon City wasn't difficult at all, considering how the transit system was laid out. All the two of you had to do was wait for a so-called Red Line train card to appear at the closest station. The Red Line led to anything related to entertainment, though it did also mean that the thing went through the aforementioned red light district. It was really your first time seeing it, even though it was just driving by. But eventually, you arrived at Little Tokyo. You spent hours wasting your money on various gaming machines, ate hot chips, popcorn, and deep-fried cotton candy ice cream. Neither of you stopping, simply due to how much you were enjoying each other's company. At least until... crap, I'm out of pocket money, said Daisuke as you stood before a photo booth. My parents have slowly been lowering my allowance over the months to get me to apply for a job. This is embarrassing. Great, Daisuke, you ruined the night. His parents were loaded, and he had technically could just work at their company, but his mom was a hardliner, and according to her, she demanded the bare minimum from him. No nepotism. Well, a little nepotism, really. Meanwhile, you were a nepo baby through and through. After all, it was nepotism that got you your spot studying advanced robotics at the university. So you weren't judging him for sitting on his parents' money. It's okay, I'll pay, you offered. He looked at you and blushed. I haven't paid for anything at all tonight. Minus my train ticket, of course, but that's not much. This is the least I can do, I mean. You smiled and then blushed. You weren't sure about the silence that then followed. Was it nervous or was it pleasant? And after a few anxious heartbeats, he finally said, "Sure," in a soft, kinda loving tone. The both of you sat down inside the booth and inserted coins, and the machine came to life. You selected the 5-picture slip. The first picture showed the two of you smiling. The second, you both made goofy faces. And for the third, he made another goofy one, while you looked at him with a gentle smile, thinking. And for the fourth one, it depicted you throwing yourself against him, hugging him, with the fifth showing you kissing him on the mouth. Safe to say, after this night, the two of you started dating. Of course, being a chick he picked up at a club wasn't really something his parents liked, but they quickly shut up upon seeing that you were majoring in advanced robotics. Then you became their little darling. Though, knowing from Daisuke how they really were, it was a little souring every time you interact with them. It were fake smiles, empty words. How disgusting. And the real kicker came a month later in your relationship. Daisuke had been occasionally over at your dorms just to hang out. Your roommates were nice enough to give you the necessary space and privacy. But tonight, It came with bad news. With a scowl, Daisuke had sat down next to you on the mattress. Of course, since he was your first real boyfriend, not to mention the type of person to never show when they were anxious or worried, your alarm bells were ringing. Was he going to break up with you? I have a job now, he said in a grave tone. Oh. Part of you was glad he didn't just say I'm breaking up. Did that make you selfish? I'm good for me. Guess the free me ticket is off the table. Of course, his draconian mother got him that. I want to make them proud. I just thought not getting with the wrong crowd, staying off drugs, and just being the little angel was enough. Apparently not. You shook your head almost unnoticeably. God, you're such a big old baby. So what's the job? You asked. It's a mission. Not a secret agent mission, but I think it'd be way cooler if it was a secret agent mission. You interrupted him by placing a finger in his mouth quickly. Thanks, he mumbled after you removed it. It's a job at a space company. It had been around the middle of Neon City's construction when a rich trillionaire acquired the rights to Mars and constructed the first off-world human colony, using drones and robots to construct it. The colony domes were built, and a few years before you were born, the first colonists had arrived there. Space travel to supply them and tourism for the richest of the rich became somewhat normal after that. A hilarious trivia fact was that a heavy metal band had a crowdfunding event to raise money to make the first music video on the actual surface of Mars, after it became known that a teeny pop star was going to record her next album there. They just barely managed to get just days before her on the planet, and quickly published a video minutes before her. It was the greatest event in music history. And the metalheads had won. The company's called Pony Express. We are to deliver something to the colonies. You know, stuff they can't produce up there yet, on their own. You know, stuff like alcohol, luxury food, video games, mouthwash. He smiled. Personally, I'm hoping it's food. That will make me feel like a hero, you know, feeding the poor. Wait, slow down. Daisuke blinked at you and then slowed down. But my internship is participating in a delivery mission, and my performance gets analyzed. And then they decide on whether or not I can become a full employee. I work there for maybe 10, 20 years, and then my parents let me, join their company. Space travel, however, wasn't that advanced yet. It still took a full year to even get to Mars, and then a full year to come back from it. He looked at you like a kicked puppy. So what are you thinking? He tapped his fingers together. And as you opened your mouth, he quickly interjected, keep in mind, this has been my most healthiest relationship so far. You inhaled. And that it's just, 2 years. By then you'd be a scientist working on advanced robotics, probably for neo-robotics, because they're like, they have a monopoly. And shut. You grabbed his hands, rubbing soft circles into them with your thumbs. 2 years, you muttered. You'd be gone, right? You asked, looking into his eyes. He nodded. Okay, then we're saying 3 years. 3 what? When you come back after 3 years, you have a full year to find me. That's how long I'm willing to wait for you. He scratched his neck. Your family has cash. A PI would definitely find me in a week or two. And even if you don't take a PI, my social media is public. You'll figure out how to contact me when the time comes. A feeling akin to a heavy rock falling from his heart filled Daisuke's brain. He leaned forward and kissed you on the forehead. You're the best, Zara. You wrapped your arms around Daisuke's shoulders, pulling him down with you. Of course I'm the best, you purred. Your hands reached up through his open shirt, grabbing the white ones beneath. How am I wearing this? He hummed as he tugged at his Hawaiian shirt. You sure you can't wear your tacky shirts no more? I'll sure try, he purred. That's my Daisuke. You reached for your boyfriend's pants, pushing them down until his undies were showing. Kissing him, your tongue entered his mouth, gently rubbing over it with yours. His salvia had the very faint taste of his parents' cherry-flavored sake. Knowing him, he probably drank a few just to get a little confidence to tell you. How cute. To reward his bravery, you grabbed the back of his head. He was really into hair pulling, and you could tell. As the moment your fingers intertwined with his hair, he began to hum into you. But as you reached for your own shirt to expose yourself to your boyfriend, to give him access to your body, he smirked. So, 3 years, right? You looked into his eyes, booping his nose with a finger. 3 years. What would I if I needed to do for more? He purred. I suppose date me for more than a month, was your dry reply. And he nodded. Yeah, I guess I can accept that. Daisuke smiled. Well, should we make this night extra special since it'll probably be our last? When's the mission? In 2 days, and I have to fulfill a small training regiment, so I won't be able to meet with you. It was difficult not to frown at the revelation. You had hoped to maybe get a week. It was really last minute, you know. Fine. How are you gonna make this special for me? He blushed hard. You know, when we were at that other club with my drinking buddies, you know, the one where you got so drunk, you started climbing into one of those dance cages, half naked. You grabbed him by the collar. You said to never speak of that again. I said to you to never speak of that again. Yes, but... You blinked. As I was holding your hair while you were relieving yourself on the bathroom, you said something in between barfs. All the little desires and kinky shit you wanna do with me. And I said no to pretty much all of them. You opened your mouth a little. Wait. Daisuke bit his lower lip. You're gonna let me peck you? Yes. Hey, you watched the video until the very end. That's very kind of you. But before I say goodbye, I have to shout out all of my lovely channel members, especially my high-ranking darling stewards, who get a members-only video every month. Join the tier for just $4.99. Anyways, we have Nicolai Hatcher, Maxi Cat, Alison Watkins, Bella Mare, Mystic Jade 111, Giovanna Moretti, Twilight Mia, Angry Boxman, Hella, Anonymous Weep, and Nicodemus D. Thank you for supporting me. Also, thank you to everybody else who is supporting me. You are keeping me alive.